Shout out to JJ Starwin for hitting my Cash App. I wasn't expecting it enough in that. He requested the video, so shout out to JJ Starwin for putting this video together, right? Because I was out running errands and I used my Cash App card for majority of my stuff now. I don't use it no more. It's faster. Direct deposit is faster, whatever, right? So I was out, and he hit me. It hit my Cash App because I just spent about what is it, like a hundred and something dollars on some groceries. And I looked, and I'm like, I know that they didn't mess up with my car. So I was about to go back into the supermarket. Was like, hey, y'all didn't take the money off the car. And I looked, I'm like, oh shit. So I came back, and I had to collect a lot of videos. It's so much shit. It's so much stuff that these people hid. So let me kind of give y'all a rundown before I show you about the passport shit, right? Because, you know, what it was originally about, Passport Bros was originally about. This is what it was about. It was about men finding a solution to their problems and giving themselves more options instead of less options in America. So nobody else tell us what to do, right? Before there was a Scott Galloway, before there was Jordan's, well, that was during Jordan Peterson time. All these dating coaches like Roger McCurry when he was alive, Ron Wells. Like, let me give you a history lesson, man. So, at some point, as you see the title, at some point, there was a rail against MGTOW guys. There was a war against MGTOW guys. And people don't remember that. It was just like the red pill. Everybody was talking against MGTOW. Everybody was saying how MGTOW made people gay. They were saying all this shit. Oh, MGTOW make you a mass shooter. You stay away from women. You're going to end up killing somebody. All the same rhetoric they said red pill. So it's kind of like different. Same insult, but different movement, right? They don't have originality. They were saying the same thing they said now about loneliness of men. So let's read a comment from 2019 from Ron Will's comment section. It's a real simple, Unc. These men who speak of are still red pill rage stage. They are dangerous stage for a man to be in. Some men go into red pill rage stage and stay there. A couple years ago, this is 2019, by the way. This is about this was another false equivalent of making men's exit to be bad for men. This was 6 years ago. So the whole red pill rage bullshit where everybody was going to go in rage and become an army of mass shooters, which never happened. This was their favorite word about 6 years ago, was red pill raging. Everybody would say red pill rage, red pill rage, red pill rage. And the same thing about them saying incel, right? I made a joke and saying that these people, they can't go one day online without saying Hail Marys. Like, these guys have to say incel 1,000 times a day, or they have to say red pill 1,000 a day, or loneliness. Any insult that they are so used to, they have to say it 1,000 days to feel good about themselves, and it still don't work. So red pill rage. Some men are lucky enough to find out once they learn specific female nature, or once they learn female nature. Oh yeah, female nature was a big thing, right? Back in the day, 6 years ago. Female nature. And then you have to understand that this female nature bullshit, it didn't translate overseas at all. It Female nature in America is different from female nature in China. Female nature in China is different from Russia. Female nature in another country is different from another country. It's funny that these people kept talking about female nature, female nature, female nature, like they were the chosen one for female nature. Mind you, Ron Wills was a prominent figure in the black manosphere at the time, and then he basically aged the fuck out because we had guys like Marco, we had certain guys that came into space who had Pacific's experience overseas, and they was telling their stories. And guys like this couldn't compete. He couldn't compete with Marco. Most of these guys over here who were showing their wives and girlfriends couldn't compete with guys overseas. They couldn't. But the quality of Passport Bros was a lot better back then than it is now. And I'm gonna break down to that as well. So female that I can admit the perspective of a non-select. Oh yeah. That was an overused term back then too. Non-select and select, right? Mind you, your boy C Boogie and Ron Wills, both of them. Ron Wills came on camera with a girl. He had a heart attack, so basically his body wasn't non-select. There was a girl that looked like she was scared, and he was tricking off her. He was paying for sex. But this guy talking about the dark zone and all this other bullshit that this guy was doing back then in 2019, right? That was a big term back in 2019, 2018, 2017 was non-select versus select, right? I apologize for bringing that up. I was, let's see, I'm heavily into my hobbies, which is art and blah, blah, blah. Get my black ass out of trouble, blah, blah, blah. Go to the gym and get my body right. Shout out to the Golden 11. Basically, back then when the Golden 11 wasn't no political guy talking politics. He was an okay dude in the black manosphere space, but he actually did. He was trying to find solutions, and he did. He gave Obsidian back in the day. We can't find the channel no more because it's gone, and all the catalog. He the only one who has connected to that, right? Back in the day, the Golden 11 told him that he had to drop all of this black manosphere shit, woman hating shit. All he had to do was go to Brazil, and he would pay for his trip. And guess what? Your boy Obsidian turned it down. He turned down a free trip to Brazil to get a new perspective in order to stay over here and be a bum. And mind you, it took Obsidian over 8 years to show his face and get a studio. Mind you, Obsidian was calling MGTOW broke, stingy, and cheap. That was the whole breakup between C Boogie and Obsidian. Obsidian used to have a lot of hang-arounds. He used to have a lot of hang-around people, right? C Boogie was one of them. Rue Dip was one of them. So he used to have a lot of people in his chat, a lot of people that hang around him, because back then the black manosphere attracted all of the people who wanted to tap into it. A lot of people needed a platform to feel superior. They wasn't here to help. They just needed somebody to look up to them online, right? There were so many people. One guy, he's a millionaire guy, has trucking companies, but for some reason he came into space and he was speaking up for men. He was saying the right thing. Then he turned the whole thing into a political fucking arena. And then now start talking shit about everybody that's not into his political view. At the same time, every single day, his political side is being exposed for a whole bunch of shit, especially the trucking industry, and he has no videos about that. The illegal immigrants in the trucking industry, how they running people over and doing all types of things, but he's not talking about that. He's basically being a I'm better than you type of guy. And that was his thing. All right, we didn't see it because he was fun, because he was doing it against other people. But you have to pay attention to somebody when they do it so much to somebody and they don't have a limit they don't have class on how they do things, right? You could have all the money in the world, but you see some people like that with money, and why are you on here? Why are you talking against guys who don't know political stuff and just keep talking about the same people? Why don't you have political debates with people who know what they're talking about, like Nick Taylor, who's a political guy, the opposite, but he didn't want to go near Nick Taylor. Mind you, Nick Taylor is a former Special Forces guy who are against those guys. He has good videos, right? But for some reason, he don't go to Nick Taylor, right? He don't go against Nick Taylor. He goes against guys who don't know what they're talking about. But there's a lot of shit that happened back in the day, in 2019, 2018. This whole Passport Bro stuff, I entered in the Passport Bro space when I seen Charles Tyler. And I joined this group in 2014-13. 2014-13 is when I was going to go and travel. I had everything ready. There was people I was talking to in Brazil. I was going on I was going on video chats with people and talking to people. That's how I got tapped in with a lot of things that were going on in Brazil. I listen to Brazilian funk music, as you see, is a part of me now. I've been listening to it ever since 2013-14. But let me give you a tidbit, right? In 2014, I had everything ready. And then I found out that my childhood home was being put up for auction, right? My childhood home. I couldn't save it, and I had to let it go. In terms, I had to reconfigure my life. People know in 2015, 16, there's a lot of different things that were going on, the FBI bullshit, or, me leaving Facebook, but there's a lot of stuff that went on. That was the aftermath of 2014. I basically lost the house I grew up in, and I had to spend money on that. The second time I was going to travel was in 2020. And there was a certain situation that happened that wasn't my fault. It was it was the people, the employer's fault. And everything ended up going crazy. I ended up having to pay more money out of my pocket than I had to. And it recouped in other ways. But at the same time, it destroyed any kind of advancement I had. And also, there was a lot of dumb shit that was going on overseas with these idiots, which I'm going to break down too. And it was like, right? So this is going to be my third time getting everything together to go travel, right? Hopefully the third time is the charm. I'm going to make sure everything is okay. And I want to make sure I'm a very tight-knit person. I want to make sure that I have everything good. So when I do come back, and if I have a country that I want to stay in, and I want to stay there, I'm going to have to shut everything down here, but make sure everything's okay. And I'm going to keep America as a second option to come back to, right? I'm going to do it like that. I'm not J. Rollo. I'm not any of these idiotic people who go overseas and they don't have no job, getting fired from their jobs, and get fired from jobs and losing their footing in America just to go travel overseas and be a bunch of begging niggas. All right. So, Brother Rom, I met with a lot of the MGTOW dudes are confused. I understand if a dude said he don't need a woman. I'm like, bro, yes, you do need a woman so you could get that, let that testosterone loose sometimes. Other testosterone buildup is not so basically, this was that you need sex from a woman, and you need to get it anywhere you need it from, right? These are the guys who was telling you to go have sex with a bunch of fat, overweight women, right? And 6 years later, a lot of these guys are fucking failures, and a lot of these guys have, some of them are not even alive anymore because they failed, or they have multiple kids and they got added stress on themselves, right? To me, it sounds like a reverse feminism. You can't even look at a woman. You can't even talk to a woman. And the same dudes want to boycott women. I'm like, fuck, I was supposed to do sit up and be boycott. Ain't what the hell I boycott stand. The divorce system is a racket system. Child support is a racket system. I get all that. I get it. But I'm not going to sit here and boycott women. These dudes are sexually repressed and confused. See, these are the guys These are fucking guys in these chats who thought that you can try to somehow, some way, maneuver your way and still deal with these people. And I think the younger generation, they learned. The younger generation learned. Mind you, this was about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 2019 screenshot. And you can't sex shame nobody anymore. People know the end result. People know the result of you dealing with these women. You would end up with a DoorDash girl. You would end up with a T page. Getting exposed on T pages, right? So, a lot of these guys proved to be wrong, right? A lot of them. And if you would have done their concept, you would have been in debt. You would have been paying for child support. Or you would have been just like this fucker right here, Ron Wills, having a fucking heart attack, but talking about getting your body right. Or you'll be in the ground like your boy Roger Allen Coffin. Talking about self-improvement and doing the right thing and all this other shit, but couldn't take care of your damn body. Alright? Roger Allen Coffin, get the fuck out of my face. All these phony Benoni motherfuckers, man. So, do y'all remember back in the day that C Boogie created a self-improvement summit? Remember Super Sly was talking about the self-improvement summit, that C Boogie was going to get all black men all off shape. They was going to get dressed. They was going to turn the whole America into a whole bunch of guys with game. Remember the self-improved summit that C Boogie was putting together? Much how of a failure that was. It's time to open up all the failures, man. Before I get to the passport sis, because this is all come together about the passport sis bullshit, right? Let's see. So, remember back then that it was cool to talk down to passport bros and MGTOW and Red Pill and saying guys are losers and this and that. C Boogie in one of his homeboys videos tapping, getting at girls in the Caribbean and didn't get no punani, was dry as a Sahara Desert. They could be part of why they were sitting here in a table in a restaurant making up excuses why they couldn't knock honey. So basically your boy C Boogie couldn't translate to another country and basically somebody exposed him. But remember when C Boogie was against the manosphere and Red Pill and this and that, and then he got chosen by a more successful black woman and he became a trophy husband. Oh man. So let's give you the image of let's give you the image right now. So my first video on Passport Bros was back in 2019. This would happen with the Passport Gate. Now let me give you a backstory of Passport Gate for anybody else and new people that's listening to it, and I'm gonna keep it cut short. Your boy Super Slide made up a whole lie and say that men were going overseas. One of the many lies that they made up, that they said that men were going overseas for little kids. We were going overseas for transgender. We wasn't going overseas for women. By the way, there's a guy that I hope he rot in jail that made up dirty feet women. And I'm gonna show you him. But let me break that down. This happened about, let's see, 7 years ago. Passport Gate, right? There was a lot of videos on Passport Gate, right? Passport Gate, right? There was a lot of stuff that was happening about Passport Gate. King Sigma when he was a cool guy, and he turned out to be something else. A player mixed up in some other shit. But when he was cool, he was the majority of making the videos of Passport Bros, right? Passport Gate, that was a thing. There was no Austin Holloman. There was no J. Rollo. There wasn't a lot of the ratchet piece of shit guys that we have in Passport Bro now running amok doing dumb shit. And I'm gonna break down the reason why these guys are out here doing the things they do, because they was funded by somebody, right? So I made my first video 6 years ago on Passport Bro. I broke it down on the fact that you gotta stop letting others endorse the wrong women. I had a video telling you about how black men are most controlled by women. I have a catalog. Your boy Minister Jap, he's now a Pan-African hater or some kind of shit into Pan-Africanism because the game shit didn't work no more. He ended up doing something else now too. He was selling you niggas most of you, he was selling you the wrong shit. He was telling you the wrong shit, talking about game and calling black women hyenas and all this other shit, and he changed too. It's funny that a lot of these guys was never consistent, and they were full of shit. A lot of them. If Kevin Samuel was alive, he would have turned on the space as well. He would have turned on men as well. He would have turned from talking about these women to talking about the men in order to get a big paycheck. It was coming. Just like
you tell people you aren't sexually interested in them. I'm starting to believe now I'm asexual because I don't want to have sex with anybody at this point. I think I'm starting to become numb. I don't know what to tell you, but when I entered in the sex industry, I was 18, and I first started off as an escort. I was having sex with almost 6 guys a day. Now that I'm 23, I feel like I've hit a wall when it comes to sex. It takes a lot to get me horny.
Wow. So that was just a good snippet about that, right? A lot of these women have been overly sexually stimulated, and they're selling you bootleg sexual experience for a high quality price. Your time and your money. And you're coming in and you can't even knock that wall down. They build the mountain of a sexual experience, and your mountain is just a pickaxe. That's all it is. It is. And I made that video for a lot of things. The anti-passport guys. Remember when Sean James was talking shit on Passport Bros? Remember him? Remember when he was telling guys not to go overseas because it was dangerous? Remember that, right? Remember that. Now mind you, Sean James, right now, he is not, as I'm looking at it right now, he is not talking about the passport cis stuff. He's not. He was against Passport Bros. And he's not consistent. This is why a lot of people left that piece of shit alone. Right? So, also, let's talk about this guy. We have a lot of people in the Passport Bros space who use Passport Bros as a anchor for their political views. Now, this guy, Passport Business Class, this guy is not a passport bro. He's just using a name. He's a race baiter. He's a bragger. Oh, I'm better than you guy. And me and him got into a back and forth many different times. He made his whole platform into a Passport Bro channel, but then it's about him bragging about money and everything else. And as you see, his comments are little bit by little bit by little bit. I remember when this guy had. I remember when this guy had. As you see, this is his channel from 7 years ago. Right? He wasn't a Passport Bro channel. This is another tip for everybody. Start looking into people's history, see how consistent they are. If they made a channel ever since 2000 something and they have no videos and they only have videos from like 2, 3, 4 years ago, it means they deleted a lot of shit. This guy was not a Passport Bro years ago. He was not a Passport Bro. This is how I know that he was never a Passport Bro. He was not a Passport Bro at all. He didn't become a Passport Bro until it became popular. And then here we go. 2 years ago. This is why I don't like certain people. I have respect for SYSBM because they didn't let everybody show up. I told many people before that I wasn't SYSBM. I said I was speaking for you to get in SYSBM, right? I don't have to be a membership or something to tell you that something is very good. I can be somebody on the outside and I can be the survivant. I don't want to tear down something that was built that was great just because I can't enter the room. Never trust a person who want to tear down anything because they can't fit into the place to be some kind of leader or something. Because that's what a lot of these guys did. These fake Passport Bros, the Manosphere guys, half of these guys are not here anymore and they're not relevant because a lot of them were fake and phony. They needed each other to pull each other off. I can tell you right now, let's be real honest. The Manosphere at its strength 6-something years ago had about at least 20,000, max 30,000 men. That all across the Black Manosphere that watch different people. The Black Manosphere today is only about 4,000, 5,000 people at best. The lowest is probably 2,000 people. You see the space, right? It's not that big anymore. The overall Manosphere is bigger than that, right? So that guy right here called him out. Your boy D. Durrell, the guy who was talking absolute dog shit about Passport Bros, talking about game. Yeah, your boy is got to do federal charges. He was scamming. He's about to do 50 years. I remember when everybody was suggesting he was telling people to go and people should listen to him and his counsel. I remember he made those videos up and dancing and stuff. I'm dancing on these motherfucking graves. I think everybody should be proud that you outlasted all these pieces of shits on here. And you were able to still be in this space and be consistent, right? Don't ever get discouraged from making videos because you have no views. Just be a factor that you was here and you see all this shit transpire. It's a beautiful thing to see all the people who talk the most shit fall into a mud hole. Roger Allen Coffin, dead. Ron Wells, heart attack. He ain't relevant anymore. C Boogie gone. A house husband who had one appearance. Your boy D. Durrell about to do 50 years in prison for scamming and using dead people's names. But hey, he want to talk about dirty feet women. Yeah, he gonna be holding his knees up in the air when he getting pounded out by his cellmate. So, So there was a time that we found solutions, and we had to fight tooth and nails in order for us to clear Passport Bros names. But you know what happened? Austin Holloman happened. Austin Holloman was the biggest bane on the Passport Bro movement, then super sliding his bullshit and them lying and saying that all Brazilian women had HIV. Because that was a thing back in the day too, right? Men were in a war-torn country situation when it came down to the dating and mating market, right? And we found a solution. And they didn't like that. They wanted us to go on their plan. Super Sly told you that you needed to go with fat, ugly women. Obsidian was telling you you still had to date the women over here. You had to at least try. They were selling you books. They were telling you that the women over here are, you need to settle for less. There was a lot of shit that was being said back then that I can't come up now. They was telling you to date single moms. They were telling you to date these fake ass anime girls, gaming girls. They tried so much shit. Then they start using the passport. You start using these agents of chaos who basically was Passport Bros, but they were undercover agents of black women, right? So you've seen it in those situations, right? They were trying to their plan was to use you as the bag boy. You were the guy who was always being the guy that they would put things into. You will always be the ones carrying their bag. They wanted forever bag boys to be the people who would carry their bags. And men seen it and they turned against it. They wanted you to be the worker of a relationship. You were the guy who was gonna dance and sing and tell 1,000 jokes and listen to them for 1,000 hours for you to get 5 minutes of sex. 1,000 hours of talking, 1,000 hours of working, 1,000 hours of jokes, 1,000 hours of everything that they wanted you to do. And you would continue to be overworked until you pass out, die, and then they use another guy. You was supposed to be the dirty rag that would be the person cleaning every mess up that they point out. You were the guy that they would point at. You were the guy that they would clean all their messes up with. And then at one point you would be so messed up, you'll be a dirty rag, you'll be useless to everybody else in there, throw you in the trash. This is what they wanted from you. You were supposed to be their new age babysitter. The babysitter who was going to always be watching their kids while they get pounded out. You were supposed to be the mentor who were put your life in danger. And you get paid absolutely nothing to watch their kids and mentor their kids and tell their kids this. And they would continue to keep having sex with bums and losers. And you were supposed to be this endless supply of babysitters, mentors. You were supposed to be the guy who would teach their kids something that their baby dads couldn't do. While their baby dads getting the oohs in the eyes. You were supposed to be sitting there with their badass kids and teaching them certain things. I remember in the space where they was trying to, the girls who love jail guys was trying to get the tech guys to teach their jailbird men tech. I remember when Ghetto Techie, Sub-Zero, and all these guys was telling guys, the ghetto guys, to come into tech. And it didn't work out because now from what I was told about tech, there's a lot of it's a space filled with a whole bunch of women and white men. Whole bunch of women and white men. They fired all the black guys. Some of the black guys wasn't as great as they said, and they fired a whole bunch of people in tech. And tech jobs is now sparse, right? That's from what I heard, right? You were supposed to be their ATM machine. This is what the biggest key thing that they needed you to be, was the ATM machine. You know why? They needed you to pay for the stuff that the guys that was fucking them was never gonna do for them. And if you take your money somewhere else, they had to get the attack dogs out. They watch their punching bags go somewhere else. Why do you think they're so comfortable with making up lies about you, right? Why do you think they were so comfortable with telling you that you're a loser? Or you're going overseas to pay for sex. You're going overseas to touch little kids. You're going overseas for this and going for that. They used every resource they could in order to tell you that you don't belong overseas. And they were laughing at the deaths of black men. They were laughing at the deaths of black men. Laughing. I remember making fun of men going to Colombia dying. But then eventually it expanded. Women that went overseas got scopamine and started disappearing. And it wasn't funny no more, was it? Now, this is 3 years ago when your boy C Boogie was on here. Right? The first part. This is the first part of Passport Sister. The Passport Sister Phenomenon Explained, Part 1. Right? You have to understand that you was never supposed to have options. You were never supposed to do what you wanted. You were supposed to do what they wanted. And they called in as much as they can. I can tell you this right now. They probably spent over 80 or mostly $100 million to stop the Passport Bro movement. 100 million. I'm not exaggerating. How many views you think that these people got off of anti-passport? How many videos that you saw that these people made off of anti-passport? How many articles you think was written in anti-passport? How many publications made money off of hating on Passport Bros? Maybe 100 million. They spent 100 million on telling you not to go somewhere and have options. And I'm being generous when I say 100 million was spent to go against you not having options and going nowhere. Now,